Now let's talk about how to work with tools in Modo. So in Modo, we're going to pick up a tool, we're going to use the tool, and then we're going to drop the tool so that we can select something else or activate another tool. Okay, so for instance, we've got this head plate. This is 05 begin. We've got this head plate selected. The item is selected in the item list. And let's say we want to move it. So we would want to pick up the move tool. To do that, we can select the icon. So we can click over here. Alternatively, we can hit the W key. So in Modo, the transform tools are going to be, the hotkeys for those are going to be one off from Cinema 4D. So in Modo, W is going to be move, and then E is going to be rotate, and R is going to be scale. So it's shifted over basically one. Okay, so instead of E being move, R rotate, and T scale, it's W move, E rotate, and R scale. Okay, so you can hit the hotkey and then can come in, and you don't have to click on the axis, but you can. You can also come in here and change the values here. And then when you're done, you would hit the space bar to drop the tool. And you can see you don't get those tool properties over here anymore. In Cinema 4D, when you hit the space bar, you're sort of toggling between two tools. Here, we're dropping it out of that. So let's take a look at the tool pipe and what that means. So if we hit the W key to activate move again, I'm going to turn pivot off. Let's go over to lists, and we'll come down to pipeline, and this is the tool pipe. It's where we can view the tool pipe, and that is basically all of the things that are working together to make this tool function the way that we want it to. And right now we just have transform move loaded up. If we take a look at this, you can see the tool here, transform move, and that's the only thing in our tool pipe. So that's what's going to allow us to kind of move this around either by grabbing the handle or by changing the position. When we hit the space bar, you can see that that tool gets dropped out, and there's nothing in the tool pipe anymore. Now, with the transform tools, you can also do the same thing that you can with Cinema 4D if you want to very quickly be able to move around without having to pick up and drop tools. So, for instance, if I want to move this around, and I want to maybe move different pieces around, I can hold down W, and then when I release, it drops it automatically. So I don't have to pick up and drop it. I can just hold it down, move it where I want to, select something else, move that where I want to, and it's a kind of a sticky key or key toggle. That's going to allow you to do things really, really quickly instead of picking up the move tool and dropping it and that sort of thing. It works really well with especially the transform tools. Okay, let's take a look at using like a bevel, one of the most basic polygon modeling tools that we're going to be using. So in order to do this, we need to get out of item mode. So remember, shift space bar will toggle us into our component mode, or you can just click on the component that you want, okay, or hit the 3 key, because we're going to be using polygons. And so what we want to do is make a polygon selection. So I'm just going to click. You can see I can just paint through and select some polygons, and then we want to create a bevel. We can find the tools that are applicable to what we're doing over here on the left. Instead of doing like a right-click context, okay, we can come in here and say, okay, we're going to be working with polygons, so let's choose polygons. And let's say we want to bevel some of these polygons. You can see the bevel tool is right up here. Shift B is the hotkey for that. We'll just click on that, and you can see nothing happens yet. We actually have to click in there. So it's kind of like Cinema 4D where you click and kind of pull it out. And so we'll click this, and then we've got two handles. So we can change the shift amount, or we can change the inset amount. Okay, and you can change all these. While this tool is active, you can see we have a couple of things in here added to our tool pipe, and then you can modify these as active. And you can see there's also a little checkbox here for group polygons. Okay, this is going to be the same as the preserve groups check box if we're working with beveling or extruding in Cinema 4D. If we turn this off, you can see it's treating each of those polygons separately, beveling those separately. So depending on if you have this on or off, it's going to look a lot different, just like that preserve groups. If you want to repeat the bevel, so let's say you wanted to do a new bevel on this, instead of dropping out of bevel and then reactivating it, you can just hit shift and click again, and it'll repeat that tool, whatever tool that you were using. It'll create a new bevel. So that bottom level bevel will be baked in, and then your new bevel will be created on top. It'll be as if you dropped out of bevel and went back into it with that same selection. So shift clicking will allow you to repeat that tool. So a very quick way to do that. So a nice feature in Modo is the fact that a lot of these tools can be used across lots of different contexts. So let's say that, let me go ahead and drop out of this tool. Let's say we want to come in and do some sculpting on this, or use the sculpting tools at least to maybe modify the model. We could go into the paint layout, and let's frame up on this just by using the F key. And let's say we now wanted to come in and kind of modify this. So let's grab Move over here in the Sculpt tools. If we come over to Lists, you can see Sculpt, Move, and the Smooth Brush are both activated. Right click will allow us to change the brush size, and then I can just come in and start to modify this. If I wanted to kind of smooth things out, I could hit the Shift key. We can use kind of the sculpting functionality inside of Modo. So we have a fully functional sculpting workflow, multi-res as well. But here I'm just using Move without any extra subdividing to kind of modify the shape of this head shell. But something cool that we can do here is we can actually use this same tool if we were to come into UV Edit, and we want to have that object selected, and we also want to have the UV map selected. And then we can come in here and actually use it on the UVs. So I haven't dropped the tool, I just kept it active, and I activated the UV map, and then we can come in and use it on the UVs as well. So you can use it in a different context than just going in and using it on your model. You can actually come in here and use these tools, a lot of these tools, on things like the UVs or in different contexts throughout the application. Okay, so when we start to get into fall-offs and action centers, we'll actually look more into this tool pipe, but just wanted to give you kind of an overview of how tools work, the idea that you're going to pick up a tool, use it, and then drop it, and also the fact that you're going to combine those inside of a tool pipe, which we'll look at in more depth coming up. Next, though, we're going to look at selections in Modo, so different ways of selecting your objects and your different components, how selections are going to remember what you've selected, and different ways of using your tools based on those selections. So we'll talk about that more next.